Rec.
Mike, first of all, thank you very much for being part of the International Risk Management Conference. It was a pleasure to host you in this 17th edition of our conference. I have two questions to ask you for as a main topics that you iterate during the workshop. What are the prospects for the global economy in the next 4 or 5 years?
So I think for the next 4 or 5 years, we're going to have significant headwinds to growth. We live in a world that has inflation. We have rising interest rates. Nobody knows for sure, but it looks like we might have higher real interest rates. We have high debt levels, declining fiscal space, potential distress, and we have a sustainability agenda that people say requires $4 to $6 trillion of annual incremental investment. And that, when you stand back from that and say, does it add up? Does it really work? I think you can see, and of course I should have mentioned declining productivity growth. So I think it's going to be a difficult, somewhat turbulent kind of period. Longer term, I think that picture looks different, but that's kind of where I am.
And so I will link it. You didn't mention a very key word, maybe technology. So how will technology affect the trajectory and dynamics of the global economy in the long term?
Well, the hope is that technology in the digital area, especially artificial intelligence, with many breakthroughs in the last decade, the latest being generative AI models, but much more to come. And some similar breakthroughs in life sciences, affecting lots of things, agriculture, the climate agenda on that side, and so on. And some very important education for sure. And so the hope is that, as these things get built into the economy in various ways, we'll have expanded productivity, expanded opportunity. There is a real hope, I think, that's not unreasonable, that we can advance the inclusiveness and sustainability agenda as well as the growth itself. And so that's the hope. There are skeptics, right? People who say this stuff just isn't powerful enough to engineer something like that. And they may be right. We're going to find out. But for what it's worth, I'm on the side that there's a reasonable chance if we use these tools well to change the dynamics in a positive direction.
So you think that the bad side of technology will not prevail? Everything, all the wording about the use of technology?
Well, that's a very fair question. So there's an enormously large and growing regulatory agenda with respect to digital technology, data, artificial intelligence, bias, misuse, etc., flooding the system with, misleading stuff, and so on. I think that's an important agenda. I don't think it's right to dismiss the downside risks and misuse. What James Manica, when we wrote this paper together in Foreign Affairs, said, that's fine, but you need an upside agenda that's designed to accelerate the accessibility and diffusion of the technology to places where it might not get too quickly, small and medium-sized businesses, sectors that tend to lag, and then eventually across borders to places that aren't going to be the main generators of the technology. So it's not to dismiss the negative side of the regulatory agenda. It's really important. But maybe it's a little too dominant now. It needs to be complemented with the kind of positive, let's exploit the upside.
So in this case, we can say that the regulation can limit the opportunity sides of the using technology for the future.
It's possible. So there's a balancing it, right? I mean, if you try to regulate in such a way as to prevent all imaginable and potential misuse, you probably will slow down, the development and use of the technology for positive and broadly beneficial purposes. On the other hand, it's not true that having a negative regulatory agenda automatically impedes it. If it's done thoughtfully and sensibly, as I think it is, especially here in Europe, I don't think that necessarily impedes the upside potential. In Europe, by the way, I don't. We do have some catch-up work to do in the digital area. I would say the main constraints are not the regulatory agenda, what gets talked about a lot. It's we need, some expanded funding for research and development on both the public and private sector side. We need some infrastructure in the computing area. That's the kind of thing that Gen AI training models require.
Thank you very much, Mike,
Thank you.
again for being here.